Do pure music subcultures still exist? Is the current popular music movement dominated by the past? Hebdige describes subculture as the expressive forms and rituals of subordinate groups, treated at different times as threats to public order, where teenagers were free to express and align themselves within subcultural groups to gain a sense of ritual and belonging after the frenzy entailed through war. However, as Polymus suggests, we now inhabit a supermarket of style, where we can choose between more than 50 different style tribes to align ourselves within the postmodern world. Therefore, the notion of a modern subculture being completely pure can be doubted due to the apparatigized domination over our individual social lives, referring to the idea that technological features enable and constrain human behaviour, instigating a change in cultural practices. With this in mind, it is interesting when observing the previous deviant behaviours of folk devils, explored through former examples of subculture such as the mods, rockers and the teddy boys. Although subcultural groups still exist, demonstrated by skater boys, goths and various fandoms, their prominence, delinquency and purity in contemporary culture compared to former subcultural groups is considerably distinguished. The advance in technology, ease of production and consumption, and the resulting relaxation of societal expectations allows for an educated and open-minded teenage audience, proposing the question of whether teenagers nowadays feel the societal need to rebel through their exercise of subcultures. Britpop and its relation to subculture is complex. Seen as a self-consciously derivative style of pop borrowing from punk in the 60s, suggests that itself is not a pure subculture, drawing musical and fashion inspiration from the mods in the early 60s. Britpop fans who indulged in a shared identity through the uniform of Levi's, Fred Perry polo shirts and Adidas Sambas, as well as adoration of prominent 90s Britpop artists such as Pulp, Blur and Oasis, conform to the idea that Britpop is indeed a subculture. Yet, a stark difference between mods and Britpop is demonstrated through their association with deviance and therefore their identification with subculture. The physical conflicts between the mods and the rockers over the Easter weekend of 1964 instigated a moral panic within the general public of the dangers of youth subculture. Yet, the latter media-coined Battle of Britpop, a chart clash between Britpop figureheads Blur and Oasis in 1995, was an event with much smaller repercussions, regarding regional as well as class divisions within the UK. No physical abuse was linked to the conflict, and thus no or very little deviance was associated with Britpop, weakening its reputation as a subculture. Reminisced as a movement linked to Tony Blair's New Labour in the mid-1990s, Britpop eroded boundaries between high and low culture and allowed for a sense of universalism and involvement for all, presenting itself as a crucial and seemingly willing partner in the promotion of a new cultural political discourse. Thus, those associating with Britpop began to incite a societal change. This link between subcultural groups and politics can be evoked through the current Grime for Corbyn drive in London. As Grime for Corbyn is a grassroots campaign, fluidity within the movement makes it more identifiable as a neo-tribe. Political forms that do not withdraw into narcissistic individualism but can challenge the logic of domination. Yet, unlike Britpop and previous subcultures, Grime for Corbyn is not ritualised through the mediums of uniform or deviant behaviours, only through the shared ideology of the need for societal change and love of grime music. As modern and contemporary examples of subcultural groups, both Britpop and Grime for Corbyn promote or promoted political modification through cultural relevance and representation in varying ways, reinforcing this previous idea that through the alteration of societal boundaries, subcultures have evolved alongside independent, accustoming generations, resulting in an impure supermarket of style. The postmodern society we now live in, alongside the unprecedented development of technology, allows for a global stage, designed for collaboration and shared knowledge. Yet, the rise of the internet era and ease of information has instigated a crisis in originality, with the new and exciting reminiscent of culture's previous glory days. Example of this in recent music can be seen through Madonna's Hung Up, featuring ABBA's Gimme Gimme Gimme, as well as Rihanna's SOS sampling Soft Cell's Tainted Love, itself a cover originally recorded by Gloria Jones in 1964. The alternating popular categories of music throughout generations has resulted in a broad acceptance of varying styles and genres. Thus, the formation of an eclectic and diverse music industry as well as audience is produced, diluting the originality of current popular music and the purity of music subcultures.